Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Dev with Excel. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at step 4. Step 4 is exercise 1.4, I believe. Yes, 1.4. So let me just expand this. So previously we worked on exercise 1.3, which is step 3, and we saw the implementation. Okay, so today we'll be working on exercise 1.4, which is also step 4 in the course information. All right, so let's see what the instruction says. Place the object into an array, modify the variable definitions of app into the following form, and modify the other parts of the application accordingly. So here we can see that initially in exercise 1.3, parts here was an object, right? So here we can see that parts here, this exercise 1.3, parts is an object here. I mean part 1, part 2, and part 3, they are all objects. Now, all part 1, part 2, and part 3 have been combined into becoming an array. So this array, it contains from part 1 to part 3, right? While course on its own is still a string. Okay, so we are asked to copy this array and then put it in our code, right? And then we make sure that we implement the necessary code changes and then still arrive at what we are having here. Okay, so let's go to VS Code and see how to do this. Okay, all right, so I have already created the folder for step 4 and we are going to be seeding into it. So let's cd into step 4 and let's npm run dev. Let's be sure it's running. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so here is what we have. So let's check out the code for step 4. To be very sure, let me just do something. I want to be very sure that this is what is running. Okay, yes, so this is what is running. Okay, all right. So let's go back to the instruction. The instruction for 1.4. So here we are giving an array for parts instead of the object we're having for individual parts, right? So let's close this. Let's minimize this. And then let's go to the app component, which is the root component. And then let's change the part 1, part 2, and part 3 to just one part. So this is what we have now. Okay, so we are supposed to refactor this and then arrive at the same code output. So here is what we have. And okay, so it says here that, however, do not pass different objects as separate properties from the app component to the component content and total. So I think they are expecting us not to have all of these numerous components like as if they are different, right? So we can just have just one content that is going to render the entire part, right? Instead of having this much, right? Okay, so here is what we are supposed to do. Let's maximize this and then let's begin. Okay, let's go back to the header. Let's check. Do we need to touch the header? Do we need to make any refactoring on the header? The answer is no. Header is quite okay. Now, the content components, I think we need to do something here. Yes, let's do something here. Now, for the content component, what we need to do here is we need to create a property which is called parts, and here parts should capture name and exercises. So let's make this capture name first. So since this is an array, we are going to work on the first object, which is an index of 0. Then we work on the second object, which is an index of 1. Then we work on the third object, which is an index of 3. So here we simply say parts index 0 dot. Now we want to target the name. So here we say we write name, right? So we do the same thing for exercises as well. So let me just copy this and okay, let's just come here. Or let me just come here and then do this, then change this name to exercises. So this is what we need to do. So we can copy this 2 more times and then we change 0 here to 1. We change 0 here to 1 as well. We change 0 here to 2. We change 0 here also to 2. So we are gradually working on the content property. So let's see if this works for the content property. Now, the content component rather. Okay, so let's comment this and then let's take out this excess. We don't need this excess anymore. So what we can do for this content is we just come here, remove this, and what we want to return is content part. Part equals what? Here we have parts here, so we just say parts. Part here is a value, right? Part here is a value, and inside the component we've already targeted each of the names and each of the exercises. So the moment we say part equals to parts for content, it targets all of this, right? That's fundamentals of React, which is 10 and the likes. Okay, so let's comment for total sum of exercises. Let's save this. Let's also comment this, because if we don't comment this, our code, the output might not be so great. So let's minimize this and then let's see. Okay, so this actually works fine, right? Now let's work on the total now. So let's uncomment this for the total. Okay, so for the total, what we need to do for the total is this: we need to target the exercises and then use it here. So here we can just come here, remove this sum of exercises and say props dot what do we need now? Props dot parts. Let's still use part for props, right? Just as we used for content, let's use part also. So we can say props dot part 0 dot exercises. Yeah. So we copy this and then we paste here. We add it to props dot parts index 1. Now the index 0 here is targets 10, right? The index 1 here it targets 7 because this is 0, this is 1, and then this 2. So let's do the last one, which is props dot parts index 2. So let's save this and see. Okay, so VS Code has helped us to properly align this so we can actually read it easily. Okay, so what do we do next? We need to come down to total here. Let's uncomment this. Let's remove this entire part here. And then we say part, because part here is the name of the component we gave or we wrote for total. So here is parts, right? So we can come here and say part equals. Now part equals what? We need to have a value we want to assign to part. So the value is simply going to be what? The value is going to be what? Parts. This parts here. So this is going to be parts. This is going to be parts. Now we have parts, cost. Let's check if that's what we have here. Okay, yes, here we have parts, cost. Okay, so let's run this code and see if we are going to be having the total here. Yes, so we have numbers of exercises 31. So we've been able to successfully implement this code, right? So next thing we need to do is to remove any comments we have in our code. All right, so let's go back again to confirm that what we've done is right. Yes. Okay, so this is what we have, and our code still works fine. All right, thanks for staying tuned and see you in the next video. Bye.